Here we go then. So we have a tinted clear. This being a bit strange because it's a blue one, which is, they're getting more and more common, but there wasn't that many around before. They're usually reds, and I think Renault have got an orange one. But you see here, I'm just sort of air drying some bust through primer that I've put on. Each sort of paint brand will have their own version of a bust through primer, but this is kind of a larger workshop based more on efficiency. It's what we call in the UK a D-fleet centre. So these are ex-lease cars that are going back to the fleet, and they've got small dents and dings, and then we put them right, and then they go back. So this shop's based on volume, which is quite nice. I like working quite quickly, and as the painter in this workshop, you're just left to paint. Literally, they'll push the car in, you'll wipe it off, paint it, push it into you see through that door behind the car. That's the bake oven. So you just push it through, open the door up, the guys will push the next one in, and you're off to the races. So it's quite nice, for me anyway. I quite like it. You'll notice here I'm using the Spiezeka, which is like a one coat system, and you apply the base with an 80% coat, and then you've got like an effect coat afterwards, which is more of an orientation coat. You want to make sure that you've got your coverage, but this coat that I'm doing now over the car is just ensuring that there's no patchiness and everything looks as it should. We did have a small issue with this colour. This is a Peugeot, which is technically it's not even Peugeot, it's ESM, which is a Peugeot colour, but now they've bought Vauxhall, so anybody that's looking, it's a Vauxhall that I'm painting, which could be confusing because they're probably Opel or GM cars that are in the US. I'm going way off track here, sorry guys. I've just literally re-recorded the voiceover for this video. I went on a rant, and I'm probably still on one. 20-minute rant, and I cut myself off right at the end of the video, so apologies. But we did have a colour issue with this ESM, and what we found was that the second coat was too close. So what was happening was, if you're familiar with doing a 3-stage pearl, we were over pearling it. So if you'll do your spray out cards for your 3-stage pearl, you'll do 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coats, 4 coats on different cards, and then you'll look at the kind of the pearl density, and you'll say, it's usually not 1 because there's not enough, and it's usually not 4 because there's way too many coats. So between 2 and 3 you gauge it. 9 times out of 10 it's 2 coats. But what was happening was the second coat, which I'm doing here, you can't really tell on the camera because it's more face on, but I'm slightly further away from the panel. And what was happening was, we were having, not an issue, but some painters were staying too close, which isn't wrong on like 85% of the colours, but you get these certain silvers and sort of more metallic-y pearly colours. If you're too close, it kind of overpowers them and it looks wrong. So the issue that we had was this blue, when we put it on the car, it had like a green hue to it, and we were trying to work out what it was, and they brought the reps in, and it was like, some of us can get it right and some, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, I do sound like I am, but some guys weren't getting it right, and we were trying to decide whether it was sort of needle nozzle setups, or everybody's got their own style of how they're doing it. So we were trying to just figure out, and what we noticed was 1 or 2 of the guys were slightly too close on their second coat. So what was happening was, it was kind of putting too much pearl on. Although it wasn't patchy or anything, it wasn't a horrible job, it just looked, it didn't even look bad. That's the thing, it was just when the pearls were so close together, under certain lights it gave off a greeny hue. So, but we got it sorted in the end. So if you're on any of these sort of Exalta brand, Spiezeka, Stando Blue, that kind of thing, if you get a weird colour and you can't figure out what's going wrong, do your drop coat from slightly further away. It's like, it feels unnatural. You don't want to be doing drop coats from quite high up, but give it a go. Honestly, we found it on these colours that don't really work out too well, we crack it. That's usually what's wrong.
I'll interrupt myself here with a quick advert from one of our customers, Adam Smith,
using the PainTeX UV chip repair kit, and he's done a cracking job. So I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in one, and on with the video. So I'll talk about this tinted clear. This is a traditional one. I like to call them candies. I've got a bit more of a custom painting background, and that's what we would call a candy. It's essentially a clear coat with a dye in it, which is what we're going to use for this. Although it can be done in base coat as well, so your paint system might not have a dye for your clear coat, but you can mix it into a clear binder, and there'll be a way to formulate that on the scheme, so don't worry too much. It's just a different way of doing it, and to be honest, I think I prefer it this way. It's quite a nice way to do it, but we've figured out with these cars that you need 2 coats of the tinted clear, but Exalta recommend like a 50% normal clear coat over the top, and you just see here, you can see I'm slightly further away just on that edge there. When I've got my head to the side, you can kind of see I'm further away with the base, sorry. But you need to put some normal clear coat on it. So where we've done the blend on that front door, I'm going to be using 2 clear coat guns. I'll have a tinted clear, and I will have my regular clear coat gun. And I'll be blending the tinted clear into the new clear, and then a full coat of clear over the top. And that'll give the polishers something to work with. So here we go. This is the Walcom Geo, one of my clear coat guns, and I've got quite a few guns now, so I'm fortunate enough to have, let's say, two or three clear coat guns. And I'm just going to work as a normal blend. I do like to say as well that this, although it's clear coat, I'm treating it as a base coat. I'm not looking for a finish. With tinted clear, I need the colour, not the clear coat. So it's not the finish that I'm looking for. I did work, and it is actually, it's funny, I've got the video online of one that I painted at a place that I used to work for, which I'll link at the end. But I went on a holiday, and I said to the guy, because the car was in the workshop, I was like, look, don't worry about that too much. We've got a video with that colour, that shade, everything. I'll interrupt myself here. This is a second base coat, second clear coat gun, and you'll see I'm just doing the edge. So instead of having the door half cleared, it's got a full coat of clear now, and it kind of seals it up, rather than putting 2 coats of tinted clear and then having like a weird edge when it comes to put the final coat of clear on. It's just what I like to do. It's nice and uniform then. Back to me story. It's dead interesting. So yeah, I said to this lad, I was like, look, we've done this colour, this shade, everything. Like, if you get stuck, because I'll be on holiday, follow this video. It's all on there. We've done it all exactly how I would do it. And what I didn't realise was, because I wasn't there to look at the job, they took the door off. I believe it was a quarter panel. They were doing the rear door, which was off the car, front door, and maybe blend into the wing, something like that. And with tinted clears, this is what I was saying, I try to treat it as a colour. So what happens was, this lad was treating the clear coat as a clear coat, although it was tinted, and the door was lovely, don't get me wrong, when he'd done it, but because he'd over applied, like you would on a bonnet or a roof, and you're trying to get these nice finishes, with a tinted clear, you're over applying colour. And what happened when they hung the door back on the car, they got it upright and on the car, the rear door was too dark. It was like, ooh, what's happened there? And it's having that experience with things like this, and now, although it was a rework and we had to redo that car, that painter's now got that experience, and he probably won't do that again, I'd like to think. But you know, you don't know, and that's one of the reasons that I like to do these videos. It's not that I'm dead good or anything like that. I've just got years and years of experience. Probably 20 years now I've been painting cars, pretty much since I left school. So having that thought in the back of my mind, this is colour, this is not clear coat. Although it's glossy, you've got to try and take that out of the equation. You'll see in certain lights it's quite peely. All I want is colour. I know I need 2 coats of colour, and I'm just going to kind of top it off with then that's what I was saying earlier, exactly say like a 50% coat of clear, but what I do is I'll do like an 80%. I'm a bit cheeky that way, but that will help take care of the texture that's on there, and it'll bring it down to sort of an acceptable, almost like a standard orange peel that you get on modern cars. But also you have got to be careful with the tinted clears, because it is, that's what I was saying, it will go dark if you put too much on. But in the same way, if you get a run, or it sags, or you get picture framing on the doors or the edges, it's going to be too dark in those areas. Where there's over application of clear or tinted clear, you're going to have visible sort of dark lines. It will just be a shade or two darker than the normal tinted clear. So it's just one of these things. I just try and think it's just a colour, it's just a colour. And here we go with the normal clear coat. I'm just blending those two coats of clear into one, so I've got a uniform finish on the door. And then when I come to do it, we can the final coat of clear over the whole thing, we can even it all out. And the purpose for putting that extra coat of clear on the top is, you'll see there, you can see, especially in this light here, interrupt myself again, the texture. It's just colour I'm looking for here. I'm not chasing that finish. I can't stress that enough. But the final coat of clear is to give the polishers something to work with. Now these bumpers were pretty clean. They come out nice, and you could technically just bolt them back on the car. But if for whatever reason they need sanding and polishing, when you sand a tinted clear, a proper tinted clear, not like the base coat version, you take away colour. So when you sand a normal clear coat, it's kind of white. Especially if you wet sand it, you'll notice it's like kind of white, sort of sludgy water. I don't know what you'd even call it after you've sort of wet sanded it. But when you do that with a tinted clear, it will bring the colour up. So I've done, with your reds, and this one it'll be blue. But when you start sort of wet sanding into the clear coat, if it comes up blue, you're removing colour. So if you go too hard in that area, you'll actually have like a light spot on the car where you've took too much colour away. Although you're there rectifying dirt, or let's even say like you're a detailer and someone's brought this car into you, and I've not put that extra coat of clear on, and there's a little scratch, when you think, oh yeah, we'll sand that out and polish it, no problem. But when you're taking that clear coat away, you've pulled the colour off the panel, and when you polish it up, you'll noticeably, well, it will be noticeable that you've removed too much. So kind of rant over about tinted clears. I quite like them. They look great. This colour in the flesh is quite something to see. It's got a real nice pale effect underneath it, and when you've got those two coats of the tinted clear over the top, it just looks phenomenal. But you'll see here, I'm just going to come in with my regular clear coat, and although it does look not too bad there actually in the reflection in the door, the gun speed, you'll notice, is considerably slower. So this is where I'm going to take the kind of textured finish from the two coats of tinted clear. I'm just going to slow it down slightly and this is where I'll get my finish. Again, I'm not going to go too mad, because you have to bear in mind there's two coats of clear on. You've got to make sure as well, although this is edited and you're not seeing the sort of flash times while I'm rating around, there's probably a good 5 minutes in between coats. Probably this coat, there was probably more like 10. So in allowing them flash times, I'm letting the clear coat tack up, because this is essentially now got 3 coats of clear, and it's probably one of the reasons why I stress that the tinted clear is just a colour. If you imagine I've applied 2 coats like this on the car, and then I'm putting a third on, it's just going to run. It's going to move, it's not going to look too nice. If you look at that angle there of the reflection of the lights in the top of that quarter panel, you can see the kind of texture that I'm on about. Although it's probably not even acceptable. You give that to a polisher, he'll bite your head off. But that's why I do it this way. Again, one of the reasons that I do the videos is to try and show you guys, and you'll see here the back of the glove trick that I keep going on about. That shows me that I've got that finish where it needs to be. I know that now there's enough clear on there to give the polishers It's not horribly textured, like if I'd left it without the final coat of clear on there. Again, it's probably workable, polishable, whatever. It's just you're removing colour then, so this extra coat of clear really does help. And again, that's the thing, do be conscious of your flash times, because I think if I was to just push this in the oven as well, this has probably got another 5 minutes of just sitting about in the booth to let the third coat flash as well. So I'm not wanting to trap any of them solvents or get any kind of pop in, because if this goes wrong, it's not an easy colour to rectify. If I get popping or any kind of issue in the clear coat and I can't polish it out, I then have to reapply the base coat, the tinted clear, and the clear coat on top of that. So I do kind of stress, take your time, allow the flash off times, just really think about what you're doing. Again, if it goes wrong, it's not fun. Again, if I reference that red door that lad done that was lying down, they had to reapply, essentially if it needed a repair again, really. Obviously it didn't need a repair, but it needed the correct undercoat, which you probably could get away with just basing it up, but it's one of these things, the more steps that you skip, the easier it is for it to go wrong. So essentially rebase the door, blend it into the quarter that they'd already painted in the front door that they'd already painted, then redo the tinted clear out further, and then reapply the final coat clear that I'm doing here. And all that just from not knowing that the door shouldn't have been flat, or being conscious enough to trigger it back enough, or not put enough on, not chase that finish on the flat door. So just one of them things, just keep in mind what you're doing and just relax, have a bit of fun. I quite enjoy working in the booth, you in your own sort of head. I like to listen to podcasts and stuff, and a bit of a robot now, like I say, I've been doing it for years. So if you made it this far, leave a comment down below and let me know that you're one of the troopers. And I guess we're wrapping this one up here, and I will see you in the next one. I really appreciate it. Like and follow and subscribe and all that YouTuber stuff. Okay, thank you guys, we'll see you in the next one.